Yeah, especially when you grow up in communities where most of the homes don't have a father in them, right?
Yeah.
Because as the
Commonplace.
black boys are growing up, we're growing up, you're not seeing that father figure. You're not having that father figure there, right? So then who stands in for you and who stands in the community for you?
Right.
You know, you guys talked about, one of the challenges when you raising your sons, the things that you said you didn't want to do as fathers, right? Mm-hmm. And I had my list too, things I didn't want to do as fathers. I wanted my son to grow up in a home with both parents, to do good in school. My mother always insisted that we did good in school. I mean, it was, I call my mother the benevolent dictator, right? She was, and you guys probably identify with that, right? She instilled values, she instilled purpose, she instilled everything in you, but she expected you to do what you were supposed to do, right? Which is to go to school. And I remember when I was 16, I told my mother I wanted to quit school because I was just angry. I didn't want to go to school. And she said, as long as you live in this house, you will do what I tell you to do. And your job right now is to finish school. So, end the discussion, right? But you need that, right? In the typical home, if you had a father, the father would have been having that discussion, right? But she had to do that discussion. But one of the things that I had that I noticed was my father drank a lot. I called him a functional alcoholic. He could drink and he could still go to work or whatever. So I'm drunk a few times, but that was pretty common in the Caribbean setting. Friday nights you get off work, you don't come home straight. You stop by what you guys call a bar, we call it a rum shop in the neighborhood, and all the fellas are hanging out there and they're playing dominoes, and some of them are spending the money they shouldn't be spending. Some of them are doing whatever, but they drank a lot and listened to cricket and did all this stuff. And he was also a womanizer. And I'm not degrading my father. These are things that I've said to his face, right? And I also said them in his eulogy, and his wife, she thanked me. I said, can I say these things? She said, yeah, it is what it is. But he changed in his latter years. Coming into his latter years before he passed away, he changed a lot, but we weren't around, right? So one of the things that I saw was I didn't want to see, I saw how alcohol took away nearly everything that people work so hard to accomplish. So we lost a beautiful home because of alcohol. I saw him lost nearly everything, and I saw my uncles lose, lose, and lose, and lose. So I made the decision that I'm not going to be a drinker, an alcoholic. And people ask me a lot, well, why don't you drink or whatever? I don't drink for a number of reasons. One of them is my faith, but I mean, I have a glass of wine periodically and stuff. But I'm talking about like these guys could drink a bottle of rum
like fish
without chasers, right? Without I'm talking this is serious drinking, right? Yeah. And I tell them I don't do that, not because I can't do it, because my father introduced me to alcohol when I was about 9 years old. I do it because I don't do it because I see what it can do when it begins to rule your life, right? And I taught that to my children as well. I think we all have that list of things that we we say that we don't want to do because of what we saw with our fathers. So that was one of the things on my list. And then the other thing was not to come to the end of my life and have lost everything that I worked for.
Yeah, pass some stuff, pass something on.
Yeah, pass something on to your family.